If a guy switches up midway through pursuing you and you have not slept with him, you have to cancel out sleeping with him, okay? You have not slept with him. The reason why I put sleeping with you being a factor is because when a guy sleeps with you and then he switches up, let's keep it logical, he got what he wanted, okay? But if you don't let him get there yet and he's still pursuing you, but he still doesn't know what he wants or whatever, I think it's because he can't obtain what he has with you. He sees you as someone higher than him. It's an insecurity for him to have you and maintain you. I'm gonna talk about us like we're cars, because that's the way men understand things around here. A man rents a really nice vehicle. He takes it around town, he gets a lot of attention. People are like, oh my God, what do you do for a living?
Let's play.
Oh, lady, you really should not be using the car metaphor here. Now, I will be the first to admit, I don't really know much about cars, but even if you had a really kick-ass car like one of those old-school muscle beasts or a Lamborghini, I mean, yeah, it might turn someone's head for maybe a second and a half, and that's only if the dude is really interested. They aren't harping on the driver because it's really none of our business, and we have more important things to do than imagine the life of a dude who's driving a Ferrari. Now, if we're sticking with the car metaphor here, I'd say you're closer to a Yugo. I mean, yeah, it'll get you there, but you'll feel embarrassed with yourself to be seen in public, and the amount of money that's required to actually maintain the stupid thing is worth more than the overall value of the car itself. It's the kind of car you pray doesn't turn heads, because the last thing you want is to be known as the dude who drives a Yugo. Once you get that reputation, there is nothing you can do to ever wash it away.
But he's renting it. There's no maintenance that he needs to be doing. It just looks nice on him. He can flex without, any liability. But think about the man purchasing the car. And I'm not trying to call us women all high maintenance, but to be honest, it's not a bad thing. A lot of girls want to get their nails done, their hair done, they want to do this, that is average in my opinion. And that's just something guys don't want to maintain, because they would rather have you for the month or the week because you're pretty to look at and you're fun. But to have you to maintain and obtain, they don't want to do it. And that's not a you problem, that's a him problem. Because somebody else out there would be dying to buy a car like you.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Lady, please, I'm begging you, you gotta stop setting yourself up like this. I mean, the mileage jokes alone write themselves, but if you insist on being a car, I wouldn't even say you're a rental. The rental at least has a good chance of being clean on the inside. No, you're more like a loaner car. You're not exactly pretty to look at, you're not all that fun. You're in fact low value and not what he actually wants, but it's easier than walking, and you need something to do while the real car is in the shop. And once the real ride is ready, he'll return you to the garbage dump from whence you came and actually go on his merry way in style. And as you sit there rusting out, you might encounter another dude who will take you for another ride for a little bit, but he'll never buy you when he's got better, younger, and significantly cleaner options. So let this be a lesson to you, sweetheart. Never use the car metaphor to describe yourself, sister. It never ends well for you.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir.
Why is it so difficult for men to not sexualize women? Met this guy at the grocery store the other day. He came up to me, started talking about my tattoos. We chatted for a little bit, gave him my number. We've been texting intermittently for the past couple days. And by intermittently, I mean not much from my end, to be honest. And that's because I was so thrown off. Within the first few sentences of us texting, he said, "You're sexy." Not even I just thought you were beautiful, or I loved your tattoos. No, you're sexy. Do men not understand that we don't want to be sexualized? I don't want to be called sexy when I'm just meeting you. You're not my boyfriend that I'm putting on a cute set for or something. You're a complete stranger. Also, if it takes you longer than 2 days of us texting for you to ask me out on a date, I'm over it. I mean, unless you want to be my friend, I guess, but what? If I give you my number, I'm expecting you not only to text me, but to ask me out. Because otherwise, what are we doing? I'm just annoyed.
Nope. That would be a waste of time.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you want men who have been sexualizing women since the dawn of time to somehow shut down this biological instinct just so he can ease your insecurities and shower you with overtly generic compliments. Got it. Yeah, I don't see that happening. This guy knew exactly what he wanted, and he made it clear, and you're turned off that the attraction wasn't based on some kind of an emotional level, but what in the hell were you expecting, woman? You were texting for a couple of days, and he hasn't seen your face since, and he's not going to give you what you want. He really doesn't have to. He sees the neck tattoos, which scream emotional damage, and therefore an easy target for some bedroom fun. He calls you sexy in hopes that you felt the same way about him, and at least that guy was upfront with his intentions, so you should be thanking him. It was out of respect for your time and his, and you're so ungrateful that you waste the time he saved you by going on your phone and complaining about it.
And that's all that I get? Fuck you! You fucking bitch!
This is my fucking apartment, okay? I just moved into this apartment, and when I tell you that if I told my younger self the reason I have this apartment was because 4.5 years ago I started a feet pics page.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Balled out on that, made 30 to 20K a month, found out how to sell a course on it, and then also balled out on that, I would laugh in your face. But guess what? This is actually what getting really good at a skill and learning how to teach it properly to mass amounts of people at the same time with the least amount of effort will get you, bestie. This. All right, wait, I haven't even given you the best part yet. This. Okay? This. All right? That, which I don't love. But you know what I do love? You know what I do love? This. So, overlooking, period, and I have a second bedroom. 3 blocks from the beach. So,
Congratulations!
Hey lady, I would not be boasting about how you teach impressionable women about becoming online avenue strollers. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just feet pics. You're selling your body to men who use it for physical gratification. That makes you an avenue stroller. And then to brag about how you're paying for an insanely expensive apartment is just in bad taste, but it really does go to show how desperate we are in needing some form of an Armageddon. I mean, asteroid, hellfire, lightning-breathing laser bears, I mean, humanity just needs a fresh start here. Because we've all now come to the point where taking fetish photos of your feet is considered an employable skill. But I also find it interesting how there are people out there who are most likely figuring out a way to try and make AI-generated foot videos and pictures, and once that happens, broads like you will be out of a job. So I hope you actually save some of that money before dumping it into an apartment you won't be able to afford in 2 years, because AI is gonna take your job. All but guaranteed.
They took our jobs! They took our jobs!
Your soulmate might actually be on Hinge and you're just being too picky. I met my boyfriend on Hinge and we've been dating for over 2 years and we both live in New York City. And let me tell you, ask anyone that I know, I was the most pickiest motherfucker there ever was on planet Earth. Like I would find a nose hair or the littlest things that would push me away from someone for no apparent reason. There are slim pickings even in cities like New York City. If 40% of you, even 40%, sees potential in literally anything about his dating page, just swipe right, entertain the banter, go on a date. And I hate when people tell me, oh my God, I don't get good people, it's broken. If you put in the work, it will work. I literally exhausted all my likes like every day for months and months and months. Went on a few dates. And my boyfriend actually double messaged me. Normal me would have thought that that was cringe, but I was going through it. I was like, let me give this weirdo a chance, it's fine. And he is the best thing that ever happened to me. If I never had answered him, if I had been too judgmental, I had just convinced myself that a double message seemed desperate, that I wouldn't be where I am right now with a dog in a beautiful apartment in Manhattan. I would just stop judging a book off of the first picture, because if you think about that, if some guys did that to you, you wouldn't like that.
Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
So let me see if I can get this straight here. You've pretty much insulted your boyfriend online. You called him names and are pretty much admitting that you had multiple bedroom partners before him. And you've been dating for 2 years, and that means absolutely nothing, especially if this is how you behave behind his back. Even though he could easily find this video, someone could send it to him or anything like that, but you're so boneheaded that the mere idea of you posting something on the public square that won't be seen by the public just really goes to show you're not a smart woman. Not like the fine members of the bounty board over on Patreon for their continued generosity. They know damaged goods when they see them, and they aren't afraid to call them out. And that's just what makes them so awesome. So thank you very much, bounty board. I cannot thank you enough. All hail! If you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the bounty board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you.
So I'm 31. Actually, I'm 30. I'm going to be 31 in 2 weeks, but almost there anyways. And I'm still single and never been married, no kids. And I do want all of those things, but I feel like it's not talked about enough. Kind of like the weird period when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and pretty much everyone you know is married with kids, and they're pretty much like settled in life, or so it seems, and you just feel like you are completely at a different stage. And it's like you want those things, but I also don't want to settle, and I don't want to just find the first person that's like willing to get married and have kids just to say that I did that. I'm wanting to wait and, you know, wait for the person that can give me what I need and what I deserve, because I know that I bring a lot to the table and I'm expecting that from someone else as well.
What?
Lady, you bring nothing to the table, and it's fine that you bring nothing to the table. The vast majority of you bring nothing to the table, and that's why you say you know what you bring instead of letting us in on that particular piece of information. Now, if you're not willing to settle and you're over the age of 30, then we already know everything we need to know, and that is you wasted your prime years, and now you're hoping to lock down the good guy, which will never happen. When you post these self-indulgent cringe fests, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot as you drastically lower your dating market value, which was already at subterranean levels, mind you, and we know this because everybody talks about this. Everybody talks about being in your 30s and feeling like you're left behind, as everybody else you know was able to succeed in something in life that you failed at miserably on several occasions, and it inevitably leads to either complaining in the car or complaining in the bathroom as you do your makeup. And interestingly enough, both of them are equally dangerous to your safety and well-being.
But no one talks about this like weird in-between time where you're content with your life and you're happy and you find joy in yourself and in your life and you feel fulfilled, but at the same time it's like you're longing for that partnership and that family and for that life. And it's just such a weird thing, and it's such a weird time in my life where like some days I'm super happy and content and like I'm fine if I'm single for the rest of my life, and I'm fine if I don't have kids. But then other times I think about it and it's like I'm gonna be 31 in 2 weeks, and the biological clock is a real thing, and just not knowing if like that's in the cards for me is kind of a weird place to be at. And I know that it's all in God's hands, it's all in God's timing, and there's just things that we cannot control in life. But I feel like it's just not talked about enough for, you know, the people that are kind of in my situation. So yeah, if anyone else is feeling like this, let me know.
It's scary.
You know, it's kind of depressing that I have to be the one to tell you this, but if you're feeling like you're missing something out of your life, then that makes you discontent. This is why you want to have kids, but you're trying to convince yourself that you don't. You actively chose the wrong decisions, be it wasting your time chasing down bad boys, partying, focusing on a career, or whatever your excuse is, it doesn't matter. You just chose every wrong path, and then you gave up control to a higher power and just blindly assumed the man upstairs is going to give you everything you ever wanted, but that's not how it works. You don't get to walk away from the choices that you made. They'll follow you around for the rest of your life, and that's why you're panicking. Because if there's one thing we know about you, you do not want to be at the farmhouse when those particular chickens come home to roost. But no matter where you are, those chickens are going to be waiting. They're home, and they ain't going anywhere, sister.
You blew it. Capiche?
We are living in a time that our ancestors dreamed of. We are able to work, make our own money, live on our own, be single, not get married, not have children. We're able to have those choices. And this is the first time in human history that women have had as much freedoms as we've had. We don't really need a man for anything. But with that being said, and I need you to understand, with that being the case, we are going to have, like, reform requires upheaval or some kind of disruption. So we are going to be disappointed with our relationships with men. That is the way it is. Until men catch up with the fact that we don't need them for these things, and therefore the way that they've been able to behave for the last centuries and centuries is not the way they're going to be able to behave anymore, that's going to take a while to click for them. So in that time that it takes them for that to click, we have to accept that we probably will not be able to have the kind of relationships with men that we would like to have. And that's okay. If we asked our ancestors what would they prefer, to have to marry a man, or to have his children, or to have freedom and maybe would not have relationships with men anymore, they would choose not to have relationships with men anymore. We are all probably going to have to accept that we need to stay single if we are going to demand what we are demanding from men. It's going to take a while for it to kick in for them to get the bigger picture.
Okay, bye.
Matilda, you are advising hopelessly single women to cut off their noses despite their faces, and trust me, sister, they don't need any more help in that particular department. I mean, the men are well aware of the situation, just most of us don't really care anymore. If it's a choice between living a peaceful life or dealing with a woman who thinks the best way to increase her desirability is to condescendingly threaten men, well, guess which ones we're going to choose, sister? Most of us have accepted our fates, and we're enjoying what we can while we can, and meanwhile, you're straight up glitching out and trying to figure out ways to intimidate us into wanting to be with you. And that's not that great of a plan there, Matilda. You are insulting us by saying that we are underdeveloped psychopathic control freaks, and after hearing such loving words of encouragement, can you really blame us when we see you and your emotionless face and say no thanks? Because when a dude says no thanks, he's at least giving you more respect than you're giving us right now.
So that is the price that we pay, is that we have to accept that we need to stay single, or we are going to be chronically disappointed by these men who are still operating in an archaic way that they've been allowed to operate in for all of human history. These teachings and these social practices are very insidious. A lot of people behave and act on them very subconsciously. They don't realize that. Men have been able to get away with shit in the past that they can no longer get away with now because we do not need them for our livelihood. Men are used to being able to cheat. They're used to being able to lie. They're used to be able to assert their dominance on us. That's becoming less and less of the case. So until they catch up, we have to accept that we need to start pouring our energy and effort and our love into other things. As a woman in today's day and age, you should be focused on obtaining power. A lot of us are going to have to forgo children and marriage. Even if that's something that we kind of want, we're going to have to forgo that if we are to make the demands that we're making from men. And to me, that's okay. I am so glad. I can't even express to you how grateful I am that we live in the time that we live in right now. But we have to keep pushing forward. Okay, so you need to be obtaining power. You need to be putting yourself on in life, and you need to be doing whatever you need to do to make that happen. So that means not having a boyfriend and going to school. That means not having a boyfriend and starting a business. That means not having a boyfriend and leading social causes. That's what that means, and that's okay. But you need to accept that this is a time that we cannot have our cake and eat it too.
Great plan.
Thank you.
He likes your plan, Chief.
You know what? You lost me there, Matilda. I mean, what power are you talking about here? You really don't have much of that no matter how you slice it. I mean, if you're talking about getting into positions of business power, oh, good luck with that. You're 35 and you have zero upward mobility. If you're talking about running for office, well, that's not happening either. Even if you could get your name on the ballot, the powers that be aren't going to allow you to have even the longest of long shots. They don't cotton to new faces around those parts. And if you're talking about relationships, well, that's impossible. Self-respecting men control access to the relationships. And even if you tell him you want him to be your boyfriend, if he says no, then that's just the end of it. You have absolutely zero power and you're not capable of getting any. And even if you could, so friggin' what? The more power you get, the more unappealing you become. And judging from what we're seeing, you have zero power, and the mere idea of you getting even the minimum amount is a thought that is so terrifying, it's the stuff of friggin' nightmares. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.